Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I was watching one of Tractor Man 44's videos this morning, and he got to talking about trammel points and measurements and rulers, and I kind of fell down the rabbit hole. Where I hung on halfway down the hole was I remembered a story. Back in 1978, Lydia and I bought a house over by Quincy. It was a brand new tri-level. The reason we got it was because the guy who built it was going out of business. The interest rates had gone sky high. They were just nuts. 20, 30 points. Just unbelievable. Nobody could afford to buy a house. So he had houses he couldn't get rid of. He couldn't sell them. Well, we had really good credit and we could get a reasonable loan from a bank. So we talked to him about buying the house and we ended up buying it. How we found the house, Lydia worked for Don Steffi, and he owned a real estate company. And the real estate market was going a little wacky. So when he found out about this opportunity, he passed it out to the people in his group to go out and try and sell these houses. Well, Lydia worked as the receptionist at the realty company. So she knew right away. She knew I wanted to live out in the country. So she came home and told me about it. We went and looked at the house, decided it was something that was good for us, and we bought it. It wasn't finished. The upstairs was done. It had all the wiring and plumbing and all the major components of the house finished. It just didn't have the bottom level of the tri-level, the basement, which was 4 foot below ground. It wasn't plasterboarded. All it was just studs. So we bought the house. Well, as time went on, about a year later, we decided that we had enough money saved up that we could go through and finish the basement. And we had a pretty good idea what we wanted. So we started out with putting up plasterboard. I had run the wire, I had done all the stuff that I needed to put the outlets in the basement. I just needed to put up the sheetrock. So the first thing we put up was the walls. And that was a bit of doing, but we were able to take care of it. Then I wanted to put up the sheetrock on the ceiling. Well, it was a 20 by 20 room. So I thought if I used 12-foot sheets, I could save one whole seam on every piece because the room was divided with a beam running down the center of it. So I'd have the 12-foot sheets, one on either side, and I could just run it along. Couldn't buy a 10-foot sheet. Would have been nice, but I couldn't buy a 10-foot sheet. So I made up a T-pole, and Lydia and I went down in the basement, and we were putting up plasterboard. Now, we were much younger then, and Lydia was very willing to help. Actually, very good at it, too. We had the T-pole cut. We started out in the, what would have been the northeast, northwest corner, and we were working our way to the southwest. Well, the T-pole is designed to just go up and kind of have an interference fit between the plasterboard and the floor. Well, it's a basement, and the basement, unbeknownst to me, sloped. The northwest corner was the high corner. And I started out working in the high corner, putting up the plasterboard. We got down to the last sheet, which would have been in the southwest corner of that side of the basement. We had 12-foot sheets that I was picking up and holding, and then Lydia would put the T-pole underneath it. Well, I got it up in the air, got it up on the ceiling. Lydia put the T-pole, and it wouldn't lock. It wouldn't wedge against the floor. So there I stood on top of a stepladder with the plasterboard about a half-inch away from the ceiling on the east end of that piece of plasterboard. And I was driving nails. We didn't use plasterboard screws at the time. We were driving nails. So I drove a nail in above my head. Bang, 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 bang. Hurts when you're hitting a piece of plasterboard that's sitting on top of your head. It kind of pounds. Then I went down to the other end where Lydia was very carefully holding that T-pole up, because if she let it wiggle one side or the other, we'd drop the 12-foot sheet. Managed to get down to the other end, take my head, and push the plasterboard up against the ceiling, and then drive a nail in the center of it. And we went along and very quickly put up all the nails we could. When we worked on the other side, I made the T-pole longer by about an inch. That took care of it. Turns out the basement, like most basements, was not flat. And there was a reason for this. The basement had a sump pump in one corner. That was in the laundry room. The floor sloped towards the sump pump. Good idea. You want to have the water flow away to where the sump pump is so that it runs out. But I didn't realize that it did that. So if you're ever putting up plasterboard in a basement, check what it is. And if you can get one, now they have all those nifty little things that you can rent. You can go to the lumber yard or the hardware store or even the sheetrock place and rent a scaffold that you can put the sheet on. Put the sheet on vertical, lay it flat, jack it up, and put it up against the ceiling. And then you can use plasterboard screws and just pop it up in. You can even get a screw gun that'll have a bandolier of sheetrock nails or screws in it that you just go along and pop them up in. So, short story, but I thought that might be something that would keep somebody else from standing there hoping that they didn't drop that piece of sheetrock, which was the last one and had to be delivered because we had no way to get it home. We didn't have a truck. So, might save you some trouble. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. And have a good day.